Welcome to Would Be Awaits. I'm here at a well inspection. I thought it would be educational for you to see what's going on. I'm here with Terry Lehman from B&W Pumps in Freeland, yeah? And he's been looking at a well here today. What have you been testing for today?
First we tested for the static level, see where the water level's at in the well, and then we ran the pump at 10 gallons a minute to see how far it drew down the water level in the well.
Uh-huh.
And it started out at 222 and went down to 252 and stayed there. So the well production is pretty good.
How many gallons a minute, like, would a single family residence generally need to
The lowest probably is 5. Most wells are 10 to 15 gallons a minute here on the island.
Uh-huh. That's good. And then what about water testing? What do you recommend?
We'll take a bacteriological sample to see if the water is safe to drink, and then you can test for all the different kind of minerals that you want. There's complete inorganic is testing for like 25 different things: arsenic, mercury, lead, iron, manganese, and then the hardness and things like that.
Uh-huh. And so, and when do you recommend people getting a well test? It seems like we're at a private residence with a private well, so there's no Department of Ecology rules for annual testing or anything. So
Right. If everything's installed correctly, there's really supposedly no need for checking on the water quality. But as you can see here, if you want to take a look, the vent cap has got some spaces where something could crawl in there and get down in the well. You can see where the spiders have been in here. So it's really not sealed up really good and tight. It's got a vent hole over here, which the plug has been on there. So it should be pretty safe. So it's just a question of, do you want to test it once a year if you need to, just to satisfy your own curiosity.
and then you're looking at sort of the mechanics of the well too, right? The pump
Right.
and the pressure tank and
Right. We can't tell how old this pump is unless we pulled it out of there to find out. But from looking at the control box, we can tell that it's pretty much the original, which is like 30 years old. But it's still working, so they plan on using it the way it is.
And then one thing we were talking about with the buyers today was just helping them budget. That's another good reason to have a well inspection,
Right.
maybe.
Yes, because that lets them know that this is potentially an old pump that they may have to have some funding set aside to replace this pump. Whereas if we knew it was only put in a couple of years ago, it's probably good for another 10, 15 years.
Yeah. And then this one had sort of an unusual situation with the old hand dug well, right?
Yes, there was a dug well that they were using before they put the drilled well in, and underneath those boards there's a dug well that's 36 inches in diameter, and it goes down 65 feet. And it was hand dug. There's no lining, there's no nothing. It's just the ground is there supporting itself.
And you said that this has been abandoned, but really it should be if they're not going to use it anymore.
Right, it's not being used anymore, which is kind of like being abandoned because there's no pump or wires or anything going down the well. But to get rid of the problem, if it was considered a problem, is to decommission it, which means you fill it in so it's sealed up properly so it doesn't affect the aquifer down below.
Right. Now it just reminded me of something. You mentioned seal. So one thing that you looked at in the old well was that it doesn't have an ecology seal. Is that what you called it?
Yeah, it looks like it was drilled before there was a surface seal required. So that might be something they potentially will have to do. There should be a bentonite slurry around the well casing that keeps any groundwater from getting down along the casing to the aquifer.
Okay. And then in here too, you took a look at the pressure tank, and
Yep.
I think we'll take a look at that. This.
Kind of old and rusty on the bottom, but it's still working, so it's...
Yeah. So Terry, give them your number if they want to call for a well inspection.
I only work here locally, so
Okay.
I'm not traveling across the United States.
Okay. But if you're on Whidbey Island and you want a well inspection, you can call B&W at
331-4016.
Thanks for sharing with us today, Terry.
Okay.
Bye.